Have you ever thought that even with all our modern technology, there might still be puzzles out there that science just can't figure out? From weird animals and strange sounds to spooky stories that spread across America, these mysteries keep us curious and sometimes give us chills. Come along with us as we look into the unsolved secrets of America in this video. So get ready as we jump into today's mystery. But before we start, you'll have amazing luck if you hit like and subscribe before the video ends. The wow signal was a strange, strong radio wave picked up in 1977 that some thought might be from aliens. On a quiet summer night in 1977, at Ohio's Big Ear Observatory, scientists picked up a radio signal so odd and unexpected that it would become one of astronomy's biggest puzzles. The signal was so strong that astronomer Jerry Emin could only write down the famous word, "wow," on the paper in surprise. From that moment, the wow signal became a lasting mystery in science that nobody has solved. The wow signal lasted exactly 72 seconds, which was the same time it took for the radio telescope to move past one spot in the sky. What made this even stranger was where it came from. It seemed to come from a place near the Sagittarius constellation, an empty area with no known stars or planets at that time that could explain such a strong signal. Right away, scientists started asking questions. Could this be a hello from aliens? For the first time in modern astronomy, researchers seem to have real proof that maybe humans weren't alone in the huge universe. In the years after, many observatories around the world pointed their equipment at that same spot, really hoping to pick up the strange signal again. But sadly, every try failed. The wow signal was never heard again. Many ideas have come up to explain what happened. Some thought it could have been a signal from a secret military satellite, or just interference from Earth. But scientists say the signal wasn't like anything humans had ever made. Its frequency was very specific, just like what you would expect from an artificial transmitter. Some researchers even thought the wow signal might have been an intentional message from a faraway civilization trying to reach us. But if that was true, if this really was a hello from intelligent beings not from our world, then why was it sent just once and never again? Were they staying away on purpose? Or was it just an accidental signal that happened to hit our antenna, like how we sometimes send radio waves into space without meaning to? 40 years have gone by, and astronomers are still looking, but the wow signal stays a riddle without an answer. For many, it's the best clue we have that alien life might exist. For others, it's a reminder that even with all we've learned, we're still small and alone under the big, mysterious sky. Whatever the truth behind the wow signal, that short, puzzling message still makes us look up and keep asking the big questions about life, about intelligence, and about where we really fit in the endless universe. The killing of President John F. Kennedy happened on November 22, 1963. Under the bright afternoon sun in Dallas, Texas, President John F. Kennedy smiled and waved to people from his open car. Just moments later, the whole world was in shock. Gunshots rang out, and the young, gifted president fell, hit right in front of thousands of people watching. Even today, Kennedy's death is still one of the most mysterious and debated events in American history. Lee Harvey Oswald was quickly arrested and named as the only shooter. But just 2 days later, Oswald himself was shot and killed by Jack Ruby, a nightclub owner, right inside the police station, making sure that the reasons and truth behind the case would stay buried forever. What really happened on that day? Official investigations said Oswald acted alone, but many people thought bigger and darker forces were behind the killing. One of the most common ideas is that secret groups or even American spy agencies were involved. Many have argued that Kennedy became a target because he wanted to limit the CIA's power and pull back from the Vietnam War. Could these goals have made him an enemy to people close to him? Another idea points to the mob. The Kennedy family's history with organized crime was complicated, and many thought the killing was revenge by famous gang bosses. These were the same people who had once helped Kennedy win the presidency, only to feel betrayed when he turned against them to break their power. And the mystery doesn't stop there. Independent investigations have questioned the shooting itself. Was it really possible for Oswald alone to shoot so accurately? Many witnesses said they heard multiple shots from different directions, making people think more than one shooter might have been part of the plot. Almost 60 years have passed, but President Kennedy's death is still a deep wound in America. Hundreds of secret documents have been released. Thousands of books and movies have been made. And still, the real truth stays hidden. Maybe we'll never know the whole story. But it's this lasting mystery and endless doubt that make the Kennedy killing one of the biggest puzzles of the 20th century. The lost treasure of Captain Kidd is hidden under sea legends, buried deep in old papers and stories from long ago. There's a treasure that has stayed lost for hundreds of years. This is the famous fortune of the well-known pirate William Kidd. People say this treasure, full of gold, jewels, and endless riches gathered from faraway seas, has kept many American treasure hunters awake at night, obsessed with finding it. The story of Captain Kidd's treasure starts in the 1600s, when William Kidd, a Scottish sailor, was given the job of hunting pirates to protect England's business interests. But fate quickly turned him from a protector into an outlaw, making him the very pirate he was supposed to chase. His trips became known for raids and rough chases, letting Kidd build up a huge fortune, but also making him one of the most wanted men of his time. Finally, in 1699, Kidd was caught and brought back to England, where he was put to death in London in 1701. But before he died, he said something that surprised everyone. He claimed to have hidden most of his treasure in a secret spot, somewhere along America's east coast. And so, the legend of Kidd's lost treasure was born. The earliest stories said the treasure was buried on Gardiner's Island, off the New York coast. Early searchers did find a small part of the loot, but most of it has stayed missing ever since. Over time, rumors about the treasure have only grown and become harder to prove. Many old maps and mysterious directions have shown up, each one claiming to lead seekers to the buried treasure. Yet every time someone seems to get close to the truth, the clues disappear, almost like Kidd himself put a curse on his treasure so no one could ever reach it. The search has gone on for generations, costing many people their lives and fortunes, but never leading to any truly great discovery. Some think Kidd wasn't just an ordinary pirate, but a genius at hiding his wealth. Maybe he split his fortune into many parts, scattered them across different secret spots, and planted fake clues to confuse anyone who tried to follow him. Others have argued that actually, Kidd's treasure was never as big as people imagined. Modern researchers have used the latest technology, from ground radar to satellite images, but still haven't found where the treasure is. Does Kidd's fortune really exist? Or is it just a story made up by people's imaginations over time? And yet, it's this mystery and uncertainty that makes the story of Kidd's treasure so interesting. It's not just a tale of lost wealth, but also a story of greed, adventure, and the lasting pull of secrets buried deep in the earth. Will American treasure hunters ever find the truth? Or will Captain Kidd's treasure stay one of the ocean's unsolved puzzles? Until the day the fortune is found, the story of the famous pirate William Kidd and his legendary treasure will keep going, inspiring generations to start the ultimate hunt. Bigfoot lives in the thick, wild forests from California to the far mountain ranges of the Pacific Northwest. A legend has lasted for hundreds of years, catching the curiosity and fear of people who go into the wilderness. This is the story of Bigfoot, a huge creature that looks like a person, but is covered in thick, ape-like fur. People say it shows up and then vanishes mysteriously in the foggy woods of North America. The tale of Bigfoot is far from new. For many generations, Native American tribes have talked about a strange, hard-to-find, and very powerful being living deep in the forests. They gave it many names, but all described the same odd figure, one that seemed to be somewhere between human and ape. But it wasn't until 1967 that the legend of Bigfoot really became known around the world. That year, Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin shot a short film, less than a minute long, at Bluff Creek, California. The video showed a large figure walking with purpose through the woods, looking back at the camera, before disappearing into the trees. People have argued about whether the film is real ever since, but nobody has ever proven for sure that it was fake. Since that time, thousands of people across America have said they've seen Bigfoot. Some talk about strange howls at night, huge footprints in places untouched by people, or even scary face-to-face meetings that haunt them for years. Yet, with all the efforts to find proof, no one has ever caught a live Bigfoot, or found any remains that could definitely be linked to such a creature. Some scientists think Bigfoot is just something people imagine, a story fueled by old tales and mistaken identity. Others guess that Bigfoot might be a surviving relative of Gigantopithecus, a giant ape thought to have died out tens of thousands of years ago. There are even those who suggest Bigfoot is a species not yet discovered, smart enough to avoid humans and live completely alone in the wilderness. What's most interesting, though, is that Bigfoot isn't just in North America. In the Himalayas, stories continue about the Yeti, a creature that sounds very similar. Could it be that all these tales are pieces of a hidden truth? Proof of a mysterious species that has lived alongside humans for thousands of years, almost invisible to us. Whatever the truth, Bigfoot is still a key part of American folklore. For many, Bigfoot stands for the mysteries of nature that are still waiting to be found, a living reminder that the world is much bigger and more puzzling than we often think. The disappearance of Amelia Earhart happened in the summer of 1937, the whole world held its breath, watching the brave trip of Amelia Earhart, the boldest woman in flying history. Amelia wasn't just the first woman to fly alone across the Atlantic. She was set on doing something even bigger, flying all the way around the world. But that big dream became forever wrapped in mystery when Amelia Earhart disappeared without a trace, somewhere over the huge Pacific Ocean. On July 2, 1937, Earhart, along with her navigator Fred Noonan, took off from New Guinea, heading for Howland Island, a tiny spot in the middle of the ocean. This was the hardest part of their whole trip, a flight of over 2,500 miles across open water, where even the smallest mistake in direction could mean disappearing forever. In her last hours, Amelia Earhart sent repeated radio messages to the U.S. Coast Guard ship waiting at Howland Island. Her voice came through clear but tense. Then, just minutes later, all contact was lost. Amelia Earhart and Fred Noonan seemed to vanish into thin air, and the famous Lockheed Electra plane was never seen again. Right away, the U.S. military started what was at that time the biggest search ever. Dozens of ships and planes carefully looked over the waters where Earhart was last thought to be. But after weeks of hard work, the search ended with not a single clue. Amelia Earhart had officially become one of the 20th century's greatest mysteries. Since that day, countless ideas have come up about what happened to Earhart. Some researchers think her plane ran out of fuel and crashed into the Pacific, sinking into its endless depths. Others are sure that Earhart made an emergency landing on an empty island, surviving for a little while before dying alone. But stranger ideas have also been suggested. There are those who claim Amelia Earhart was captured by the Japanese military before World War II started, and spent the rest of her life in secret. Some even suggest that Earhart returned to America and lived under a different name, though no real proof has ever shown up to back these claims. Over the years, new searches have been done with better and better technology, yet, the story of Amelia Earhart has never been fully solved. Even today, her disappearance is still both an inspiring and sad reminder of the limits people dare to push and the mysteries that remain in our world. Maybe Amelia Earhart will always be a symbol of courage, determination, and the wish to reach new places. At the same time, she has become a symbol of unsolvable puzzles, capturing the imagination of millions around the world. The Men in Black phenomenon involves mysterious men who show up after every UFO sighting. Figures dressed in black, acting strangely, always trying to silence witnesses with threats or mysterious warnings not to tell what they saw. This is the Men in Black phenomenon, one of the most puzzling mysteries of modern times. Stories of the Men in Black started in the 1940s, though their true beginnings might go back much further. These aren't characters made up by Hollywood, but part of many real-world reports from people who claim to have seen UFOs. These men are always described the same way: perfectly dressed in black suits, crisp white shirts, dark ties, shiny leather shoes, and often hiding their eyes behind dark sunglasses. Yet, this neat look only makes their presence more unsettling. Witnesses often say these men have strangely pale skin, faces with no emotion, and voices that are stiff and robotic, as if programmed rather than human. Reports of the Men in Black grew a lot, especially in the 1950s and 1960s. One of the earliest incidents happened in 1947, on Maury Island. Harold Dahl claimed to have seen 6 mysterious flying objects in the sky, only to be visited soon after by a mysterious man in black, who threatened him and told him to keep the story secret. This incident is often seen as the start of many similar encounters that would follow. Another famous case is that of Albert Bender in 1952. Bender, who started the International Flying Saucer Bureau, suddenly closed his group after meeting 3 men in black suits. They warned him not to share what he found, leaving him so scared that he gave up UFO research altogether. The story became widely known through Gray Barker's 1956 book, They Knew Too Much About Flying Saucers, which caused a lot of debate among UFO believers. But who really are the Men in Black, and why are they so interested in UFO sightings? Over the years, many ideas have been suggested. One of the most common is that they're agents from government groups, like the FBI or CIA, whose job is to hide proof of alien life to stop people from panicking. Supporters of this idea are sure that the US government knows much more about UFOs than the public is told. Others think these mysterious men aren't human at all. According to this view, their strange looks might mean they are aliens disguised as humans, and their mission is to control and hide information about UFOs and alien activity. There are also skeptics who argue that the whole Men in Black thing is just made up by people's imaginations, or is a kind of hallucination. Psychologists suggest that people under stress or in shock after seeing something unusual might misremember or make up details. accidentally creating the myth of these puzzling figures. Some theories suggest it's nothing more than a planned trick or prank, maybe a cover for secret military programs. Yet, if it's just a trick or made up, why have hundreds of people around the world described the same kind of figure, the same way of approaching, and the same threatening message? To this day, no single idea has been able to explain every part of the phenomenon. The Men in Black still exist on the line between fact and folklore. While popular culture has turned them into stars of a hit action comedy movie, the real-life stories still leave us doubting and questioning. Whoever they are, one thing is certain. The Men in Black have become symbols of mystery, a lasting reminder that there are truths we might not be ready to face yet. The phenomenon remains unexplained, and until someone can prove what's really behind these Men in Black, they will stay one of the strangest and most lasting mysteries in modern history. Area 51 and UFOs are linked together. Hidden deep in the empty deserts of Nevada is a military base, so secret that for decades the US government wouldn't even admit it existed. This is Area 51, a place that has become a symbol of mystery and the strange events tied to aliens and UFOs. The story of Area 51 started to catch public attention in 1947, after a mysterious object crashed near the small town of Roswell, New Mexico. At first, the US military announced that they had found a flying disc, but within hours, they took back that statement and said it was just a weather balloon. This quick change immediately made people suspect that the government was hiding something much bigger. From that moment on, stories, photos, and videos of strange objects in the skies over Nevada started to appear. Many witnesses claimed to have seen weird lights floating above the desert, moving with speed and in ways that no known plane could. One of the most lasting ideas is that Area 51 is much more than just a secret military base. People say it's the place where the US government studies and tests alien technology found from crashed UFOs. Some believe that advanced technology like stealth planes, cutting-edge radar systems, and even modern weapons all have their origins and secrets hidden away inside Area 51. In 1989, the legend grew even bigger when Bob Lazar, a physicist who claimed to have worked at the base, told the world that he had been part of a project involving alien spacecraft. Lazar insisted that the government had found and was studying at least 9 different alien ships, and that he had personally seen documents, blueprints, and even parts from these craft. Despite these claims, the US government has always denied any connection to UFOs and aliens. It wasn't until 2013 that the CIA, for the first time ever, officially said Area 51 existed. But they insisted it was just a testing place for advanced military planes with nothing to do with aliens. So, what is Area 51 really hiding? Is it just a high-tech military base? Or, as many still suspect, is it truly the meeting point between humans and civilizations from beyond our world? To this day, Area 51 is still at the center of countless theories and endless curiosity. Maybe we'll never know the full truth, but it's this unsolved mystery that makes Area 51 so fascinating. A puzzle that still intrigues and challenges people's imaginations everywhere. The Bermuda Triangle is thousands of miles off the coast of Florida, hidden deep in the Atlantic Ocean. There's an area wrapped in mystery, a place where countless ships and planes have disappeared without a trace. This is the Bermuda Triangle, sometimes called the Devil's Triangle. This huge area forms a giant triangle connecting Miami, San Juan, and the island of Bermuda. For decades, it's been the center of countless stories about unexplainable disappearances. The legend of the Bermuda Triangle first got worldwide attention in 1945 with the mysterious disappearance of Flight 19. 5 US Navy bombers took off from Florida for a routine training mission. Within hours, the whole group reported getting lost, then vanished completely from radar. Even stranger, the rescue planes sent to find them never came back. To this day, not a single piece of wreckage or any sign of the planes has ever been found. This incident is just one of many unexplainable disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle. Over time, many ideas have been suggested to explain the mysteries of this area. Some scientists think natural events like the strong Gulf Stream current or bursts of methane gas from the ocean floor have caused sudden disasters. Others suggest that unusual magnetic fields in the area might mess with navigation equipment on ships and planes. Yet, more mystical ideas have also become popular. Some believe the Bermuda Triangle is a center for alien activity, a place where abductions happen in secret. Others suggest a space portal exists there, taking victims to another parallel world. There's even the far-out theory that the lost city of Atlantis lies hidden under these waters, its mysterious energy still affecting things today. Despite many investigations and big advances in technology, The mystery of the Bermuda Triangle has never been fully solved. Scientific studies show that the number of disappearances in this area isn't really higher than in other busy parts of the world's oceans. Even so, its appeal stays strong in people's minds. A mix of strange disappearances and the endless creativity of human imagination. Maybe the Bermuda Triangle isn't a mystery waiting to be solved, but rather a reminder that the ocean still hides wonders far beyond what we understand. Until the answers are finally found, the Bermuda Triangle will keep drawing in the curious, the adventurers, and all those who are still fascinated by the world's lasting puzzles. The Roswell incident in 1947 happened on a summer morning in the empty deserts of Roswell, New Mexico. A strange object fell from the sky, marking the start of one of the biggest mysteries in modern history. This is the story of the Roswell incident, a case that has caused debate for more than 70 years and has become a symbol of humanity's endless curiosity about life beyond Earth. On July 8, 1947, the U.S. military in Roswell put out a statement that shocked the world. They had found pieces from a flying disc that had crashed on a farm outside town. The news spread quickly through newspapers, causing a worldwide sensation. But just a day later, the military suddenly changed their story, saying the object was nothing more than a simple weather balloon, with no connection to aliens. The difference between the government's two statements became the start of countless questions, suspicions, and conspiracy theories that would last for decades. Why did officials change their stories so suddenly? Was there something much more serious that the military was determined to hide? Many local witnesses, including farmers and service members who worked at the crash site, later described strange details. They talked about pieces with an unusual structure, materials that couldn't be bent or destroyed by any normal means. Some even claimed to have seen the bodies of strange beings, creatures with human-like shapes but small size, gray skin, and unusually large eyes. Ideas quickly spread, with the most popular being that the US military had actually found proof of alien life but had to keep it secret to avoid public panic and protect secret military technology. Some believe that the bodies of these strange beings were taken to Area 51 for study and that alien technology was taken apart and copied there. Yet, the US government has always strongly denied all such claims. In 1994, the US Air Force officially stated that the object that fell in Roswell was actually part of a secret project called Project Mogul, a program using high-altitude balloons to watch for Soviet nuclear tests. The supposed alien bodies, they claimed, were just crash test dummies dropped from great heights, and the initial confusion was just a misunderstanding. However, this explanation has never been enough to satisfy those who believe in alien life. Many argue that these are just more tricks to continue the cover-up. Former service members and UFO researchers still insist that they personally saw craft and beings that science can't explain. Roswell has since become the ultimate symbol for UFO believers and conspiracy theorists alike. It has inspired countless stories, books, movies, and TV shows. From this incident, millions around the world started to think more deeply about the possibility of advanced civilizations beyond Earth, turning Roswell into a hotspot for debates that seem never-ending. Nearly 80 years have passed since that day. Yet, the mystery of Roswell continues to grow. Those who support the alien theory keep looking for proof, while skeptics are always ready to dismiss any new clue. But whatever the truth may be, the Roswell incident has forever changed how humanity looks at the universe around us. No matter how many statements or explanations are given, Roswell remains a big unanswered question. Could it be that we are not truly alone in the cosmos? Might life from beyond have visited Earth, leaving behind traces that we still can't explain? The phantom time hypothesis asks if you've ever wondered whether everything we know about history might be a big lie, that hundreds of years in our past might never have actually happened at all. This is the core of one of the strangest ideas ever thought up, the phantom time hypothesis. This idea suggests that the history we accept today has been changed and that nearly 3 centuries simply never existed. The story starts in 1991, when a German historian named Herbert Illig made a shocking claim. He argued that the time from 614 to 911 AD was completely made up, and that the historical events we've come to accept, like the rule of Charlemagne or the growth of the Byzantine Empire, were actually inventions of clever medieval rulers. But why would anyone want to make up nearly 300 years of history? According to Illig, the answer lies in a political plot organized by Emperor Otto III, Pope Sylvester II, and Byzantine Emperor Constantine VII at the end of the 10th century. Their supposed goal was to rewrite history, so that Otto III's rule would fall exactly in the year 1000 AD. To do this, they invented almost 3 centuries of fake history, changing the world's timeline in an act of incredible boldness. Supporters of this idea point to various oddities in historical records. They argue that many documents from the time between 614 and 911 are unclear or missing altogether. Buildings, coins, and written records are strangely scarce. Also, they note that the Julian calendar, which was used in Europe before switching to the Gregorian calendar in the 1500s, is off by about 10 days. If more than 1,600 years had truly passed, they argued this gap should be much bigger. But if these years never happened, who were famous figures like Charlemagne? Were they completely made-up characters or just minor historical people whose stories were blown up to fill a gap in history? This idea has been strongly challenged by historians. Experts point to plenty of archaeological, astronomical, and ancient written evidence from around the world that confirms this period really did happen. Yet even the strongest arguments haven't completely killed the strange appeal of the phantom time hypothesis. It's the odd gaps in our understanding of history and the weird inconsistencies in old records that keep this idea alive and controversial. Its supporters remain convinced that history is not an absolute truth. Maybe, they argue, history is simply a story told from the viewpoint of the winners, or worse, rewritten entirely for complex political reasons. Whether you believe in the phantom time hypothesis or not, it raises a challenging question. How much do we really know about the past? And could it be that hidden within the thousands of years of human history, there are still mysterious blanks, forgotten stories, and truths buried forever? The lost colony of Roanoke existed hundreds of years before the first lasting colonies were started. A mysterious story began, leaving behind only a single puzzling word, Croatoan. That was the only clue left from the Roanoke colony, the very first English settlement in the New World, where more than 100 people vanished without a trace at the end of the 1500s. The story began in the summer of 1587, when a group of 115 English settlers, led by John White, landed on Roanoke Island, with the goal of building a new future in this unfamiliar land. They built homes, made plans to stay, and even welcomed the birth of Virginia Dare, the first English child born on American soil. But soon, strange things started to happen. Struggling with shortages, John White was forced to return to England, promising he would come back quickly with needed supplies. Fate, however, had other plans. The war between England and Spain kept White in Europe for 3 long years. When he finally managed to get back to Roanoke in August 1590, he couldn't have imagined what awaited him. The once busy settlement was now completely empty. There were no signs of fighting, no remains, no hastily left belongings, nothing to explain where the settlers had gone. The only thing White found was a mysterious word carved deep into a tree trunk. Croatoan, Croatoan, was the name of a nearby island, known today as Hatteras Island, home to a native tribe that had once been friendly with the colonists. But why had the people of Roanoke left? Did they choose to leave the colony to find safety? Or were they forced out by some unknown power? And if so, why has no trace of them ever been found? For more than 400 years, the mystery of Roanoke's fate has challenged historians and researchers alike. Some ideas suggest that the settlers joined local tribes, surviving for generations. Recent archaeological evidence found on Hatteras Island and nearby spots hints at a European presence from the late 1500s. Yet to this day, no one can say for sure if these pieces truly belong to the lost colony. Other ideas point to possible conflicts with local tribes, disease, or starvation wiping out the community. And there are even more fantastical explanations that the people of Roanoke fell victim to some supernatural force. But all these ideas are missing one key thing: proof. What makes Roanoke's mystery last is not just the puzzling disappearance of an entire community, but also the unique way they left their mark. Croatoan was not a clear plea for help, nor a warning. It was a puzzling message that has never been decoded. Why did they choose to leave such an unclear sign, instead of clearly stating what had happened to them? To this day, the Roanoke colony remains one of the biggest puzzles in American history. Archaeological studies, DNA analysis, and modern scientific tools have yet to break the centuries-old veil of secrecy. Roanoke is not the only mystery history has kept hidden, nor will it be the last to leave humanity searching for answers. Sometimes the truth lies deep under the earth, sometimes it's hidden in strange symbols, and sometimes it's simply a single word, quickly carved into the bark of a tree. Will we ever find out the truth behind the lost colony of Roanoke? Or will it stay forever one of the unsolved riddles of human history? Only time can answer that question. The Philadelphia experiment supposedly happened in 1943 at a shipyard in Philadelphia. The US Navy was rumored to have done a top-secret military test, one that would create one of the strangest and most debated mysteries in American military history, the Philadelphia experiment. At the heart of this story is the USS Eldridge, a small destroyer escort that, according to witnesses, vanished completely before their eyes. This tale, which seems almost unbelievable, began with the account of a man named Carl Allen, also known as Carlos Allende. According to Allen, on October 28, 1943, the US Navy tested new technology meant to make the USS Eldridge invisible to radar. But what happened next went far beyond anyone's imagination. The Eldridge didn't just vanish from radar, it disappeared from sight altogether, only to reappear minutes later in Norfolk, Virginia, hundreds of miles away. Yet, when the USS Eldridge returned to Philadelphia, the crew seemed to suffer terrible consequences from this bizarre event. Some sailors were said to have vanished forever. Others became trapped, fused into the ship's metal walls, as if their bodies had merged with the steel. Those who survived were reported to have gone crazy or suffered from severe nerve problems for the rest of their lives. Many believe that the experiment was based on Albert Einstein's unified field theory, intended to create an intense electromagnetic field that could bend light and make the ship invisible. However, no one really knows what technology, if any, was actually used, or even if the experiment happened at all. The US Navy has never admitted the Philadelphia experiment existed and has always denied any related accusations. For decades, researchers have tried to find the truth behind this mysterious story. Some argue that the whole thing was just a misunderstanding about degaussing experiments, routines meant to protect ships from magnetic mines. Others believe that Carl Allen made up the story as an elaborate hoax. But if it were truly just made up, why have so many others insisted that they witnessed these strange events themselves? Some theories go even further, suggesting that the Philadelphia experiment accidentally opened a doorway to another dimension, or enabled a kind of teleportation that modern science still can't understand. Supporters of this idea claim the Navy stumbled upon something far beyond their control, and then felt forced to cover it up completely. Although there is no definite proof, either for or against the Philadelphia experiment, it's this very uncertainty that has turned it into one of the most famous mysteries of the 20th century. The story has appeared in countless books, movies, and pieces of popular culture, becoming a symbol of the unsolved secrets of military and scientific history. Yet, what truly makes the Philadelphia experiment both fascinating and unsettling is the very uncertainty at its core. Is it nothing more than an urban legend, an elaborate hoax, or was it really a military test that went far beyond the limits of human control? And if such a powerful technology capable of bending space and time did exist, where might it be now? The Black Hope curse lies hidden under the peaceful homes in the quiet town of Crosby, Texas. A long-forgotten darkness exists, a mystery the locals call the Black Hope curse. People say this curse has been responsible for a series of tragic, unexplained, and chilling events that have haunted the area for decades. The story begins in the early 1980s when a new housing development called Newport was built on the outskirts of Crosby. It was meant to be a perfect community, a place where young families eagerly set out to build new lives. But what none of them could have imagined was that the land they had chosen hid a dark secret, buried and undisturbed for generations. Sam and Judith Haney were among the very first families to move into Newport. Yet their joy lasted only until the day they decided to dig a swimming pool in their backyard in 1982. As the digging began, they uncovered two old weathered coffins buried right under their yard. From that moment, their lives changed completely. Upon investigation, they discovered that the whole Newport subdivision had been built over the forgotten Black Hope Cemetery, the final resting place for African Americans whose memories had faded from living history long ago. Even more unsettling, as soon as the coffins were brought up, the Haneys began to experience a series of strange occurrences inside their own home. Clocks that weren't plugged in would suddenly glow in the dark, mysterious footsteps echoed through the hallways at night, and objects would vanish, only to reappear in places where no one could have left them. At the same time, neighbors began to report similar events, trees withering and dying without explanation, shadowy figures appearing and then vanishing as though they had never existed at all. Tragedy began to follow the residents of this small community. Some who had always been healthy suddenly fell seriously ill, while others endured a constant streak of unexplainable bad luck. One after another, families left what was once their dream home, driven out by fear and heartbreak. Was it possible, they wondered, that the spirits whose rest had been disturbed were now trying to send a warning to the living? Residents of Newport soon filed lawsuits against the builders, accusing them of failing to warn them about the cemetery that lay directly under their feet. Yet, the legal battles only brought more pain and loss. Families lost their homes, went into debt, and continued to face unexplainable events for which there was no logical explanation. More and more people came to believe that they were suffering the consequences of having unknowingly disturbed the final resting place of restless souls. For decades, researchers have looked for scientific answers for what happened in Newport. Some believe it's psychological trauma, the shock of finding the cemetery under their homes, that led to a kind of shared haunting. Yet, there are many who remain convinced that something supernatural, something beyond human understanding, exists at Black Hope. The Black Hope curse has become not just a mystery known throughout America, but also a haunting warning. It reminds us of the importance of respecting the past, and especially the dead. Sometimes human carelessness can wake up forces for which we are not at all prepared. Are the strange stories of Black Hope Cemetery merely coincidence, or are they truly signs of an ancient curse? To this day, no one has been able to give a satisfactory answer. And as night falls, those who once lived in Newport may still wonder whether the spirits under their old homes have truly found peace, or if they are still waiting for the chance to speak one final time. The Winchester Mystery House stands in the city of San Jose, California. There's a house so strange and mysterious that its name is still spoken with fascination by many Americans. The Winchester Mystery House. This house is unlike any other. From the outside, it looks like a big mansion. But once you step inside, it's easy to feel lost and confused by the overwhelming complexity and illogical design of its structure. The owner of the house was Sarah Winchester, heir to the huge fortune of the Winchester Rifle Company. After the devastating loss of her husband and daughter, Sarah was left to live in sorrow and fear. She came to believe that her family was cursed, haunted by the restless spirits of those killed by Winchester rifles. It was a medium who advised her that as long as she continued to build and expand her house without stopping, these spirits would never find her. And so, for 38 years, Sarah oversaw constant construction and changes to her home, never letting a single day pass without some new addition or change. Today, the Winchester Mystery House contains more than 160 rooms with countless staircases, hallways, doors, windows, and even secret rooms. There are stairways that climb straight into the ceiling, only to stop suddenly. Doors that open onto solid brick walls, and winding hallways whose destinations no one can predict. Many believe that Sarah herself intentionally designed the house as a maze, hoping to confuse and escape the spirits that she thought were following her. Beyond its strange design, the Winchester Mystery House is also famous for its ghost stories. Many who have lived or worked inside its walls have reported hearing strange noises, the sound of footsteps echoing through the halls at night, or the unmistakable feeling of being watched even when no one else was around. Some visitors have even claimed to see shadowy figures, doors opening and closing by themselves, or a sudden unexplainable chill in certain rooms. Every year, the Winchester Mystery House draws hundreds of thousands of tourists, all eager to see and explore the lasting mysteries that fill its halls. Whether or not you believe in ghosts, there's no denying that this house has an atmosphere that is truly unique, something deeply different and hard to explain. Some say it's all coincidence, a product of imagination and legend. But many others are convinced that the Winchester Mystery House is genuinely haunted. Even today, the story of this house remains a source of endless curiosity. Why did Sarah Winchester keep building without end? Are there truly spirits living inside its walls? Or was it simply the burden of grief and obsession that one woman carried with her for a lifetime? The Taos hum exists in the small town of Taos, New Mexico. There's a phenomenon so unusual that it has puzzled both scientists and residents for decades. It's known as the Taos hum, a low droning sound of unknown origin that only a select group of people can hear, while most people remain completely unaware of its presence. The story began in the 1990s, when many Taos residents started to complain about an annoying humming noise, something like a distant engine or the faint static of a weak radio signal. What made it truly strange was that not everyone could hear it. Even when scientists arrived with sensitive equipment to measure the environment, they couldn't detect any unusual frequencies or sound waves in the area. Some who heard the noise described it as a constant ringing in the ears or the low rumble of an engine idling at night. For them, the sound was non-stop, sometimes lasting for hours, keeping them from sleeping and leaving them exhausted. Ideas about the cause of the Taos hum are as varied as they are uncertain. Some believe it's natural infrasound coming from deep within the earth. Others suspect electrical systems, industrial machinery, or even secret military technology. There are scientists who have suggested that it could simply be a psychological effect, that only those with very sensitive hearing or certain psychological traits might notice the sound. Local authorities have done many surveys and brought in sound experts to investigate, but no one has managed to give a definite explanation. Advanced equipment was set up throughout the town, but none detected anything unusual. This has only made the mystery deeper, turning the Taos hum into one of the area's biggest puzzles. Even though no one has ever found its true source, the phenomenon has become a distinct part of local culture, and a subject that continues to attract researchers from across the United States. What's interesting is that Taos is not the only place in the world where this phenomenon has been reported. Similar mysterious hums have been documented in places like England, Canada, and Australia. But Taos remains one of the most well-known, partly because such a large number of its population claims to have heard the sound. For those who have experienced it, the Taos hum is more than just a sound. It's an obsession. It makes them question the limits of modern science and reminds us all that our world is still full of secrets waiting to be discovered. The Montauk Project is located at the far eastern tip of Long Island, New York. The old Montauk Point Air Force Base remains a place wrapped in mystery, one that stirs the curiosity of countless Americans whenever its name is mentioned. On the surface, the base appears to be nothing more than a collection of empty buildings and a worn-down radar tower. But behind that appearance lies a maze of chilling tales and strange ideas about secret experiments. Stories that to this day, no one has been able to fully prove or disprove. People call it the Montauk Project, a series of experiments that are said to have taken place in the late 1970s. According to the accounts of people who claim to be witnesses, and a wealth of secondhand documents, the Montauk base was once the site of top-secret government tests involving mind control, emotional manipulation, and even time travel. Some who once lived near the base recall seeing strange lights circling the radar tower, hearing a low humming noise, or feeling slight tremors under the ground. Others claim to have experienced unexplainable events, like animals acting strangely, or a sudden feeling that time itself was moving much faster or slower as they passed through the area. Stories of the Montauk Project truly began to spread when Preston Nichols and several other writers published a series of books claiming that they themselves had been staff members or volunteers forced to take part in the experiments there. They described seeing machines capable of reading and controlling human thoughts, causing mass hallucinations, and even creating time portals that could send participants to moments in the distant past or far-off future. There are accounts that children were taken to serve as test subjects for mind control experiments, and later many of them suffered from memory loss or carried only vague, scattered memories of strange events at Montauk. Adding to the legend, some tales speak of the Montauk Monster, a strange creature rumored to be the result of failed experiments. While no one has ever verified the origins of these stories, they continue to spread through news outlets, online forums, and have inspired countless works of fiction, most notably the hit series Stranger Things, which drew directly from the myths surrounding the Montauk Project. Of course, the US government has always denied any accusations of illegal experiments or anything related to time travel. Experts generally agree that most of what is told about Montauk is nothing more than rumor. Even so, Montauk Base remains a pilgrimage site for those fascinated by the paranormal and conspiracy theories. Many visitors come simply to stand under the radar tower, take a few photos, and wonder whether any of the stories they've heard could possibly be true. The Beale ciphers are one of the greatest unsolved mysteries. Many people immediately think of the story of the Beale ciphers. This is one of the most famous unsolved treasure puzzles, captivating generations of treasure hunters, codebreakers, and anyone fascinated by tales of the strange and unexplained. The story begins in the early 1800s, when a man named Thomas J. Beale is said to have discovered, along with his companions, a huge stash of gold, silver, and precious gems hidden in the mountains near the city of Bedford, Virginia. After finding this treasure, Beale and his associates buried it in a secret location, then created 3 coded messages, with the intention that only their loved ones would ever be able to find the treasure and learn the names of those involved. Several decades later, an innkeeper in Virginia named Robert Morris unexpectedly received an iron box from Beale, which contained the 3 mysterious ciphers and a letter giving a brief explanation of the treasure's existence. Beale promised to send the key to the codes at a later date, but he vanished without a trace. After waiting in vain for Beale's return, Morris eventually sought help from the public to decode the coded papers. The 3 Beale ciphers were labeled 1, 2, and 3. To this day, only cipher number 2 has ever been successfully cracked. Its contents revealed that the treasure hidden includes tons of gold, silver, and gems, along with a promise of a massive fortune buried somewhere near Bedford. The 2 remaining ciphers, one believed to specify the exact location of the stash, and the other said to list the names of those with inheritance rights, have yet to be decoded. The solution to cipher number 2 is fascinating in its own right. People discovered that the code was simply a long string of numbers, and when the United States Declaration of Independence was used as a key, each number matched a word in the text, the first letter of each word spelling out the secret message. This gave rise to hope that the other 2 ciphers could also be solved, if only the correct key could be found. Yet, more than 100 years have passed with countless experts, and even modern computers taking up the challenge. And still, no one has ever completely unraveled the remaining secrets of the Beale ciphers. Many treasure hunters have traveled to the lands around Bedford, searching, digging, and even devoting their entire lives to decoding the ciphers and finding the treasure. Although nothing has ever been found, the story of the Beale ciphers continues to fascinate people all over America and the world. Some believe it is nothing more than a hoax or a story made up to attract attention, but many others are convinced that the treasure is real and that someday the secret will finally be revealed. To this day, the Beale ciphers remain among the most famous codes in the world, a symbol of hope, curiosity, and the lasting human desire to conquer the unknown. The Jersey Devil is a creature from the dense forests of the Pine Barrens in New Jersey. If you have ever set foot there, chances are you have heard the strange tales about a creature the locals call the Jersey Devil. This is not just a local legend, but a part of childhood memories and a source of fear for many generations of Americans who have lived near these woods. The story of the Jersey Devil begins more than 250 years ago, in the early 1700s. According to the most famous legend, a woman named Mother Leeds, who lived in the Pine Barrens, gave birth to her 13th child on a stormy night. Exhausted and desperate, she cursed the baby. The moment the child was born, it turned into a strange creature. It had the head of a horse, bat-like wings, a thin body, long hind legs, and a tail as thin as a whip. It let out a terrible scream, then flew up through the chimney and vanished into the dark forest. From that moment on, stories about the Jersey Devil began to spread. Many people have claimed to hear chilling cries echoing through the silent night, or to catch a glimpse of a strange figure flying across the forest under the moonlight. Notably, in 1909, a wave of panic swept across New Jersey when hundreds of residents, police officers, and even newspaper reporters reported seeing the creature or finding mysterious footprints in the snow and even on top of gates. Some accounts tell of the Jersey Devil attacking livestock, leaving dogs and cats dead under mysterious circumstances. There are those who say they were frozen with fear after just one glance at its glowing red eyes and unnatural form. There have even been hunting parties and tourists who set out to track down the Jersey Devil, but all returned empty-handed. Many researchers believe that the Jersey Devil is simply a product of collective imagination, a combination of humanity's fear of nature and the influence of old folk legends. Yet, there are just as many who remain convinced that something strange truly does live somewhere in the vast and wild expanse of the Pine Barrens. Even in recent years, there have been occasional reports of people seeing a strange creature with a horse's head and bat wings swooping over roads or perched high in the treetops. To this day, the Jersey Devil remains one of America's most lasting legends. It has not only appeared in books, newspapers, and on television, but has inspired movies, comic books, and local festivals. For the people of New Jersey, the Jersey Devil is more than just a ghost story. It's a symbol of the mystery and appeal of the wild, untouched wilderness. The Bell Witch is one of America's most famous ghost stories. In the peaceful rural landscape of Tennessee, one of America's most famous ghost stories first emerged in the early 1800s, one that has sent shivers down the spines of generations of locals. This is the legend of the Bell Witch, a spirit said to have haunted the Bell family in Robertson County for years on end. It all began around 1817 when John Bell, his wife, and their children suddenly found themselves bothered by a series of unexplainable events. At first, the family heard loud, violent knocking on the walls and the heavy footsteps of someone walking the dark hallways, though no one was there. But matters quickly grew more serious. Objects in the house began to shake and tremble. Blankets were pulled from beds, and doors and windows would slam shut repeatedly without any wind. The most horrifying part was that the family members, especially the youngest daughter, Betsy Bell, were repeatedly attacked by some invisible force. Betsy would have her hair pulled, be slapped across the face, or even pushed to the ground, though no one could ever see who was doing it. Some nights, the family would hear whispering voices, or even mocking laughter coming from the shadowy corners of the house. The spirit even began to mimic the voices of Bell family members, and at times, it revealed secrets no one had ever shared aloud. Word of the Bell Witch quickly spread across Tennessee. drawing crowds of curious onlookers hoping to witness the events themselves. Neighbors and strangers alike told their own stories of hearing strange noises or feeling an icy chill run down their spine when standing near the Bell family farm. Some insisted it was merely a cruel prank, but many others swore that the Bell Witch was completely real. According to legend, the spirit identified itself as Kate Batts, a neighbor who had held a long-standing grudge against John Bell during her lifetime. Some believe the Bell Witch appeared for revenge, bringing misfortune to the Bell family. The haunting lasted for years until John Bell's health was so broken that he died under mysterious circumstances in 1820. Many believed it was the Bell Witch that caused his death. As the same night he passed away, ghostly laughter was said to echo throughout the house. After John Bell's death, the supernatural occurrences on the Bell farm gradually faded, but the legend of the Bell Witch never did. The story has become an inseparable part of American folklore, appearing in countless books, movies, and inspiring ghost hunts throughout Tennessee. To this day, many people visit the old Bell family property, hoping to witness something strange for themselves, or simply to experience the lingering fear that once haunted the land. Whatever the truth may be, the legend of the Bell Witch remains one of the most chilling and lasting hauntings in American history, one that still invites us to question the boundary between the visible world and the mysteries that no one has yet explained. The Voynich manuscript is an ancient book filled with secrets. Across the world, there are many ancient books filled with secrets yet to be solved, but few have baffled the scientific community as deeply as the Voynich manuscript. This is an ancient manuscript discovered in the early 1900s, and to this day, no one truly understands its contents or its origins. The story begins in 1912 when a rare book dealer named Wilfred Voynich purchased a stack of old books from a monastery in Italy. Among them was a book of over 200 pages, its cover made of sheepskin. But what set it apart was that every page inside was written in a strange script completely unlike any known language on Earth. The book was named the Voynich manuscript, after the man who brought it to light. What made the Voynich manuscript famous is that not a single person, not linguists, code breakers, nor even the best code crackers in the US military, has been able to read or understand its contents. From the moment it arrived in America, the manuscript drew intense interest from university professors to code breakers at the NSA and CIA, and from mystery enthusiasts around the world. Hundreds of ideas have been suggested, but all of them remain just guesses. The mystery goes beyond its undecipherable language. Inside the book are many strange drawings, plants that have never been seen in reality, astronomical diagrams, maps, and images of naked women standing in baths, or wading through complex systems of pipes. Some believe it to be an ancient herbal guide. Others suspect a book of magic, scientific notes, or even messages from aliens. Modern scientific analysis has determined that the book was written in the early 1400s, but who the author was, what its true purpose was, and what its contents actually mean, remain unanswered to this day. Many experts are convinced that the Voynich manuscript is not a hoax, as the structure of the language is remarkably complex and internally consistent, showing no signs of random creation. Today, the original Voynich manuscript is kept at Yale University Library, but digital copies have been shared all over the globe. Every year, hundreds of researchers, codebreakers, and even international teams try to unravel its secrets, but so far, no one has succeeded. Who wrote this book? And why was it written in a language that no one has ever known? The Voynich manuscript is more than just an unsolved puzzle. It is a symbol of humanity's endless curiosity and drive to explore the unknown. It reminds us that our world still holds countless mysteries beyond our understanding, always waiting for those bold enough to try to uncover them. The Lost Dutchman's gold mine is hidden in the wild and rugged Superstition Mountains east of Phoenix, Arizona. There exists a legend that has lasted for more than a century. It is the tale of the Lost Dutchman's gold mine, one of the most famous mysteries in America, attracting not only professional treasure hunters, but also ordinary people who are drawn to adventure and discovery. The story begins in the mid-1800s during the gold rush that swept across the American West. A German man named Jacob Waltz is said to have discovered a huge gold mine hidden somewhere in the depths of the Superstition Mountains. Waltz lived a fairly quiet life, and before his death in 1891, he revealed the existence of this mine only to a handful of trusted people. On his deathbed, Jacob Waltz is believed to have drawn a map or given secret directions to his close friend Julia Thomas, revealing the location of the gold mine. From that moment on, Julia and many others searched tirelessly, but every effort ended in failure. Nevertheless, tales of the lost mine continued to spread, gradually becoming an endless source of inspiration for thousands of treasure seekers. Over the years, there have been many stories of people claiming to have seen gold or discovered traces of it in these mountains, only to find that all signs vanished mysteriously when they returned. Some tales even speak of treasure hunters who disappeared or suffered accidents while searching in the deep, treacherous canyons. As a result, the Superstition Mountains are not only known for their ominous name, but are also wrapped in strange, eerie happenings and chilling warnings. Some historians believe the gold mine may simply be a product of imagination. Yet, there is considerable evidence that gold mining did occur in this area during the 1800s. Old maps, mysterious notes, and strange symbols carved into the rocks have convinced many that somewhere in these mountains, a real treasure still lies hidden. Every year, hundreds of people still venture deep into the Superstition Mountains, hoping to be the first to find the lost Dutchman's gold mine. Many research teams, treasure hunters, and even curious tourists continue their quest, not scared off by the dangers or by the old legends warning of the mysterious disappearances that happen to those who become too greedy. The hum is a global mystery. Across the globe, from busy cities to quiet countryside, people have repeatedly reported the presence of a strange phenomenon known as the hum. This is a mysterious low-frequency humming sound, persistent and droning, that only certain people can hear. Despite numerous studies, the hum remains one of the world's most puzzling mysteries, with no clear explanation to this day. There are regions particularly famous for this phenomenon, such as Taos in New Mexico, Kokomo in Indiana, and even some suburbs of Seattle and San Francisco. Those who can hear the hum describe it as sounding like a distant engine running, machinery operating underground, or a heavy buzzing that seems to resonate from within the walls. Some say the sound only appears at night, when everything else is quiet, while others can hear it at any hour, day or night. What makes the hum truly strange is that most modern sound measuring devices fail to register any sound waves or unusual frequencies when it is present. Because of this, many believe the sound is nothing more than a hallucination or the result of long-term stress. However, in places where large numbers of people hear it, such as Taos or Bristol in England, the local authorities have launched investigations. But every effort has reached a dead end. Over the years, many ideas have been suggested to explain the hum. Some believe it is caused by infrasound given off by industrial plants or secret military operations. Certain scientists suggest the cause could be natural events like the movement of the Earth's crust or tremors from small earthquakes that go unnoticed by humans. There are even ideas that the hum is the result of radio waves or experimental technology that has yet to be made public. At the same time, supernatural rumors are never far away. Some people believe the hum is a sign of something beyond human understanding. Perhaps the activity of aliens or secret messages hidden within the fabric of space itself. This uncertainty has made the hum a favorite topic for journalists and mystery enthusiasts around the world. Those who experience the hum say it is not only annoying, but that it also disturbs their sleep, affects their mental health, and leaves them in a constant state of exhaustion. Some have even been forced to move or change their lifestyle in an attempt to escape the sound. Yet, most have found no truly effective solution. To this day, the hum remains one of the great mysteries of the modern world. Whether you believe in science, conspiracy theories, or are simply curious, the hum stands as a puzzle that defies logical explanation. The black-eyed children are a strange phenomenon. If you are someone who often follows strange stories, then you have likely heard of the phenomenon known as the black-eyed children. Children with pitch-black eyes who appear suddenly at night, bringing with them an overwhelming sense of unease and fear to anyone who meets them. Stories about the black-eyed children first emerged in the late 1990s when a journalist in Texas told his own chilling experience. He described meeting two strange children standing outside his car late at night, asking for a ride home. What sent a chill down his spine was that both children wore old, worn-out clothing, had pale skin, and most disturbingly possessed eyes that were completely black like two endless voids. The sense of dread was so intense that he dared not unlock his car, and the children vanished into the darkness almost instantly. Following this story, countless people across America began sharing similar encounters. The common thread is that these children usually appear in the evening or at midnight, often in pairs or small groups, knocking on the doors of houses or cars, asking to be let inside. They speak softly and politely. Yet, there is always something cold and unsettling in their voices. Many people have recalled that when faced with the black-eyed children, they were suddenly gripped by fear, their hearts pounding, unable to look away from those strange black eyes. Some believe that simply letting these children into your home or car will immediately bring misfortune. For this reason, The black-eyed children have always been associated with bad omens and are considered one of the most frightening urban legends in America. No one truly knows who these children are, where they come from, or why they appear. Some say they are wandering spirits, while others suspect they are aliens in disguise. There are also those who believe these tales are nothing more than products of collective imagination, blown up by the internet and social media. Whatever the reason, stories about the black-eyed children continue to spread, leaving many people both curious and uneasy whenever they find themselves home alone at night. The Flatwoods Monster was a strange creature reported in West Virginia in 1952 that captured the attention of UFO hunters. In the peaceful countryside of West Virginia in 1952, a bizarre event took place: the appearance of the Flatwoods Monster. This story not only stirred up the local community, but also attracted the fascination of UFO hunters and enthusiasts of the supernatural across America. It all began on the evening of September 12, 1952, in the small town of Flatwoods. A group of teenagers and a mother suddenly saw a glowing object falling onto a nearby hillside. Driven by curiosity, they grabbed their flashlights and decided to investigate. As they approached, the group unexpectedly met a tall creature standing silently in the darkness. According to witness descriptions, the creature was about 7 to 10 feet tall with a heart-shaped head, glowing red eyes, and clad in a dark metallic-looking cloak. Most notably, its lower body appeared to have tentacles or hovered above the ground, creating an eerie and mysterious effect. The witnesses also recalled that as the creature moved, a strange and unpleasant smell filled the air, terrifying the group and causing them to flee home. News of the encounter spread rapidly throughout Flatwoods and soon across the United States. Newspapers, UFO researchers, and even the military arrived to investigate, but no concrete proof of the creature was ever found. However, the strange marks left behind and the consistent stories of witnesses only made the case more compelling. In the aftermath of that night, countless ideas emerged. Some believed that the Flatwoods Monster was an alien being who had arrived on Earth via a UFO. Others argued that it was merely a large owl or some other wild animal. Yet, to this day, no one has been able to explain why so many people saw the same creature with such specific and consistent details. Whatever the truth may be, the Flatwoods Monster has become a symbol of the town of Flatwoods. Each year, the town holds festivals, maintains a small museum, and hosts activities for tourists eager to learn more about this legendary creature. The image of the Flatwoods Monster has also appeared in numerous movies, comic books, and television programs about UFOs. The curse of the Hope Diamond has long been a symbol of wealth and power. Yet, it also carries with it a mysterious curse that is said to bring disaster upon anyone who possesses it. The story of the Hope Diamond begins in the 1600s, when it was dug up from the Collier mine in India. At first, the diamond weighed over 112 carats, and was considered a treasure reserved for royalty and kings. However, rumors of a curse have surrounded the stone ever since those early days. Anyone who laid hands on this gem was believed to pay a heavy price, either misfortune or a tragic death. One of the most famous stories surrounding the diamond is that of Jean-Baptiste Tavernier, the French gem dealer who first owned it. According to legend, Tavernier stole the diamond from a sacred temple in India, angering the gods and bringing a curse upon himself and all future owners of the stone. After selling the diamond to King Louis XIV of France, Tavernier is said to have lost his entire fortune and died under mysterious circumstances in Russia. In the hands of Louis XIV, the Hope Diamond was recut into a stunning jewel adorning the royal crown. Yet bad luck continued to plague the French royal family. King Louis XVI and Queen Marie Antoinette were both executed by guillotine during the chaotic French Revolution. Some believe the diamond was the source of these disasters, the cause behind the bloody downfall of the monarchy. The Hope Diamond continued to change hands many times, and with each new owner, the curse seemed to grow stronger. Its next notable owner was Henry Philip Hope, a British aristocrat who gave the gem its name. Though the Hope family was once wealthy, they eventually fell into bankruptcy and unexplainable misfortune. Members of the family died mysteriously or suffered heartbreaking personal tragedies. At the start of the 1900s, the diamond came into the possession of Pierre Cartier, a famous jeweler. Cartier quickly sold it to the wealthy McLean family in America. Evelyn Walsh McLean, the diamond's next owner, at first dismissed the curse as mere superstition. But soon after getting the stone, her life was turned upside down by a string of tragedies. Her son died in a car accident, her daughter died of a drug overdose, and her husband died in a mental institution. All these misfortunes only strengthened the belief in the deadly curse hidden within the blue diamond. After Mrs. McLean's death, the diamond was sold to Harry Winston, a well-known jeweler. Sensing the legend of the curse, Winston decided not to keep the stone for long. He gave it to the Smithsonian Institution in 1958, where the Hope diamond remains on display to this day. Strangely enough, since the diamond has been in the museum, no major disasters have been linked to it. Has the curse finally ended? Or is it merely waiting for its next owner? Many ideas have been suggested to explain the true origin of this strange curse. Some historians argue that the tragedies linked to the diamond are mere coincidences, blown up by collective imagination. Others believe the gem truly holds a mysterious energy, an aura of negativity, powerful enough to affect the fate of those who own it. Whatever the truth may be, the Hope diamond continues to captivate millions of people from around the world. It represents the mystery, appeal, and dangerous attraction of things that humanity has yet to understand. D.B. Cooper was a mysterious man who carried out a daring hijacking, unlike anything in aviation history, and then disappeared without a trace into the cold night sky. The story of D.B. Cooper stands as one of America's most famous and puzzling unsolved cases, a mystery that has challenged investigators for over 50 years. The story begins on the evening of November 24, 1971, the day before Thanksgiving. A man calling himself Don Cooper boarded Northwest Orient Flight 305. He wore a smart suit, sunglasses, and carried himself with a calm composure. No one suspected that, just minutes after takeoff, he would carry out one of the boldest hijackings in U.S. history. Shortly after the plane was airborne, Cooper called flight attendant Florence Schaffner to his seat and handed her a small note. At first, Schaffner assumed it was a flirtatious gesture, but when Cooper calmly motioned for her to read it, she realized the seriousness of the situation. "I have a bomb in my briefcase." Immediately, tension gripped the cabin. Cooper opened his briefcase, revealing a mass of wires and red sticks resembling dynamite. Then he stated his demands: $200,000 in cash, for parachutes, and a refueling truck, ready and waiting in Seattle for when the plane landed. Cooper remained eerily calm, never panicking or raising his voice, a demeanor that only increased the anxiety among the crew. When the plane landed in Seattle, the passengers were released in exchange for Cooper's demands, being met in full. Cooper kept the flight crew on board and ordered the plane to take off again, this time headed for Mexico City. Then, in a strange twist, he told the pilot to fly at a lower altitude, at a slower speed, and on a southbound course. At around 8 p.m., as the plane cruised at over 10,000 feet amid thick black storm clouds and heavy rain, Cooper moved toward the rear of the aircraft. That was the last time anyone ever saw him. Moments later, a sudden change in cabin pressure indicated that the rear door had been opened. The man known as D.B. Cooper had parachuted into the night, taking the entire ransom with him. From that moment on, he vanished completely, leaving no trace behind. The search for Cooper stretched on for months, covering vast areas of the wilderness across Washington and Oregon. The FBI brought in troops, local police, helicopters, and tracking dogs, searching every inch of forest, but not a single clue was found. D.B. Cooper had disappeared, as if he had never existed at all. Countless ideas have emerged to explain this incredible disappearance. Some believe that Cooper died soon after jumping from the plane, his body lost deep in the wild forests, or swept away by the cold waters of the Columbia River. Yet, the complete lack of proof has left this idea unproven. Others believe Cooper not only survived, but had carefully planned every detail in advance. They suspect he may have been an experienced skydiver, someone who had studied the terrain well, chosen the perfect landing spot, and slipped away without a trace. For more than 45 years, the FBI investigated thousands of suspects, yet never uncovered any solid proof of D.B. Cooper's true identity. Names like Richard McCoy, Robert Rackstraw, and Kenneth Christensen surfaced at times, but none could be definitely confirmed. Even as several people have claimed to be D.B. Cooper or to know his fate, no one has ever provided convincing proof. In 1980, a small portion of the ransom money was found by a young boy along the banks of the Columbia River. But this only deepened the mystery. Why was only a small part of the money found? And where did the rest go? More than half a century has passed since that night. Yet D.B. Cooper remains a puzzle, a legend in American culture. He has become a symbol of rebellion, of mystery, and of the possibility of outsmarting the authorities. Still, the most important question remains unanswered. Who was he? And what truly happened on that night in 1971? The ghost ship, Mary Celeste, is one of the strangest and most famous maritime mysteries in world history. On December 5, 1872, the ship Dei Gratia was making its way from New York to Gibraltar when its crew suddenly spotted a vessel drifting aimlessly among the waves of the Atlantic Ocean. As they drew closer, they realized it was the Mary Celeste, a merchant ship that had left New York just a few weeks before. But what they found inside left everyone stunned. The Mary Celeste was completely empty. Every person on board had vanished. The cargo, more than 1,700 barrels of alcohol, remained untouched. Food and fresh water were still fully stocked, and the crew's and captain's belongings were undisturbed. Even the dining table was set, with meals left unfinished. What had happened to the 10 people on board, including Captain Benjamin Briggs, his wife, their young daughter, and 7 crew members? Countless ideas have been suggested to explain this puzzling disappearance. One of the most popular is that the Mary Celeste faced a sudden emergency, perhaps a gas leak from the alcohol barrels on board. The crew may have feared an imminent explosion and left the ship in the lifeboat to escape danger. But if that were true, why did they not return once they realized the ship was safe and there was no sign of an explosion? Another widely discussed idea is that the Mary Celeste was caught in a violent storm or some other strange weather event that convinced the crew the ship was about to sink, forcing them to abandon it. Yet, if that was the case, why were personal belongings, the ship's logbook, and all documents left behind so neatly, with no sign of panic? Supernatural explanations quickly surfaced as well. Many believe that the Mary Celeste fell victim to some mysterious phenomenon, perhaps the famous Bermuda Triangle or the attack of unseen forces that caused everyone to vanish without a trace. Though there is no proof to support these claims, the strangeness and mystery of the case have kept such ideas alive. Others have suggested piracy, but this idea was soon dismissed, since all valuables and cargo were left untouched. No pirate would ever leave such a fortune behind without taking anything. The official investigation dragged on for months, but failed to reach any clear conclusion. Every idea ran into impossible obstacles. The crew and passengers of the Mary Celeste disappeared forever, leaving behind a haunting mystery that continues to puzzle the world. For more than 150 years, the Mary Celeste has become a symbol of ghost ships, vessels drifting endlessly at sea, carrying secrets that may never be revealed. The Mothman story begins in November 1966, in a small town called Point Pleasant, West Virginia. 2 young couples were driving through an area that used to be a World War II munitions plant, locally known as the TNT area, when they suddenly met a strange creature. It stood nearly 7 feet tall, with enormous wings like those of a giant bat, and glowing red eyes that shone fiercely in the darkness. Terrified, they sped away, but the creature flew after their car for a long distance, without ever slowing down. The next day, the incident made the local news. Residents began to report seeing the same creature, sometimes perched on rooftops, sometimes soaring above the dense forests, or standing motionless by the roadside, staring at them with those blazing eyes. A year later, on December 15, 1967, the Silver Bridge connecting West Virginia and Ohio suddenly collapsed during rush hour, killing 46 people. The official cause was determined to be a faulty steel link that snapped under the weight of traffic. But for the people of Point Pleasant, the disaster was more than a tragic accident. Many claim to have seen the Mothman around the bridge just days before the catastrophe occurred. And the Mothman's legend did not end in West Virginia. In 1986, several workers at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Ukraine claimed to have seen a giant black-winged creature with red eyes flying near the site, just days before the world's worst nuclear disaster took place. In recent years, there have been numerous reports in Chicago of a dark-winged figure gliding between buildings, appearing near areas where fires or mysterious disappearances have occurred. Scientists have studied the phenomenon and suggested that the Mothman could be a large bird with its red eyes caused by the reflection of light. But what they cannot explain is why this creature always seems to appear right before a real disaster happens, and why the eyewitness descriptions are so eerily similar. Whatever it may be, no one has ever managed to capture it. The Mothman remains a legend passed down for decades. Today, the people of Point Pleasant have put up a giant metal statue of the Mothman, with outstretched wings and eyes that always burn red. Every year, the town hosts the Mothman Festival, attracting thousands of visitors eager to experience the mystery for themselves. Spontaneous human combustion is a strange phenomenon. On a July morning in 1951, in the city of St. Petersburg, Florida, a woman named Mary Reeser was found reduced to ashes in her own apartment, except for a portion of her leg in a charred armchair. The rest of the room was almost completely untouched. There were no signs of a spreading fire, no smell of gasoline, and no proof that any flammable items had been affected. The scene was unlike any fire previously recorded, and it was at that moment that the phrase spontaneous human combustion The phenomenon of people suddenly bursting into flames entered the files of the greatest mysteries of modern history. From the 1700s until now, dozens of similar incidents have occurred around the world. In most cases, the victims were almost completely burned up. Sometimes only a portion of a leg or a few bone fragments remained, while the surrounding furniture and belongings were left intact. This sharp contrast has baffled investigators. How could a human body burn at such high temperatures without burning the whole room? Some witnesses have claimed to see flames erupting from within a person's body, a sight that seems straight out of science fiction. Scientists have spent decades trying to explain this phenomenon. A common idea known as the wick effect suggests that human body fat can burn slowly like candle wax if lit with clothing serving as the wick. However, this idea cannot account for cases where there was no outside source of fire, and it fails to explain why these fires are often so contained, leaving their surroundings untouched. Some believe that this phenomenon cannot simply be a coincidence. Is there something at play here that lies beyond the reach of current scientific understanding? Could this be an undiscovered biological reaction, or proof of something supernatural, a force that humanity has never been able to control? Even more astonishing are cases where spontaneous combustion occurs shortly after large wildfires, or during periods of unusual atmospheric conditions. Some guess that Earth's magnetic field, static electricity in the air, or still unknown reactions within the human body might play a role. But whatever the cause, cases of spontaneous combustion continue to raise questions that no one has been able to fully answer. We have entered the age of quantum technology, self-driving cars, and artificial intelligence. Yet, we remain helpless in the face of the mystery of a human body suddenly igniting in a quiet room, leaving behind no clues. Maybe science will one day find the answer, or perhaps this is one of the few phenomena that humanity must accept. Some things may simply never be explained. Skinwalker Ranch is a Utah ranch famous for mysterious phenomena like UFOs, mutant animals, and shifting realities. Hidden deep within the empty deserts of Utah lies a ranch known by many names among the locals, but none more chilling than Skinwalker Ranch. For decades, this place has been at the center of countless unexplained phenomena. From UFOs appearing in the night sky to animals changing in strange ways, and even events that make people question the very nature of space itself. The story first drew public attention in the mid-1990s, when the Sherman family bought this large stretch of land to raise cattle. But their peaceful life quickly turned into a nightmare. Their livestock were killed in brutal ways, their bodies cut with such surgical precision that even veterinarians were left confused. Then came the appearance of strange lights floating above the ground, giving off electromagnetic sounds and moving in ways no human technology could copy. It wasn't long before the Shermans decided to sell the property. The buyer was a billionaire with a strong interest in the unknown, Robert Bigelow. Under his ownership, the ranch became an official research site, heavily guarded with scientists, physicists, and specialists monitoring the area around the clock. These people would go on to witness many of the ranch's most bizarre occurrences. At times, security cameras captured flashes of light that vanished just as a transmission tower was destroyed, leaving no trace behind. There were times when researchers claimed they felt an unseen presence watching them, causing confusion, dizziness, or symptoms like radiation sickness. One team member was even thrown violently into the air, as if hit by an invisible force, and still has the scars to this day. This place is linked to more than just UFOs and strange happenings. The name Skinwalker comes from Navajo legend, a creature capable of changing shape, having supernatural powers, hiding in darkness, and spreading fear wherever it goes. For the native people, this is cursed land, a place where the line between the human world and another realm is always thin and fragile. Investigations have lasted for years, crossing over multiple administrations and organizations. While some events may be explained by natural causes such as electromagnetic radiation, infrasound, or hallucinations brought on by isolation, most remain unsolved. Every answer only seems to raise more questions. Today, Skinwalker Ranch remains closed off and tightly controlled. Research continues quietly behind closed gates. Videos, images, and reports that have been made public have only increased people's fascination. Whether you are a skeptic or a firm believer in the supernatural, it is hard to deny that something beyond our current understanding is happening here. If you found today's stories fascinating, don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any future mysteries. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.